Could the mystery of the Loch Ness Monster finally be solved? Well, a team of scientists which use cutting-edge DNA techniques to test the contents of the loch.
Loch Ness has been studied more intensely than almost any other body of fresh water on the planet, yet its mysteries remain unsolved. What if decades of sonar scans weren't just noise or errors, but part of a recurring pattern, quietly persisting beneath the murky surface for over 60 years? Imagine artificial intelligence analyzing massive archives of data, uncovering consistent movements and unusual signals that have puzzled researchers since the 1950s. This emerging pattern challenges long-held assumptions, pointing towards something real and enduring hidden deep within the Scottish Highlands. Persistent, unexplained sonar contacts. For more than 6 decades, Loch Ness has been a hotspot for sonar investigations searching for the unknown. Starting in 1954, scientific teams and private researchers detected large, unexplained sonar echoes deep beneath the surface. These contacts appeared too substantial and mobile to be debris, schools of fish, or typical underwater disturbances. Yet, despite countless efforts, no one could consistently identify what was creating these signals. One of the earliest notable recordings came from a fishing boat named Doris, which tracked a mysterious object at a depth of nearly 480 feet. The contact moved in a way that defied natural explanations like floating debris or known aquatic species. Over time, these anomalies reoccurred, defying easy dismissal as mere sonar errors or coincidental noise. They did not behave like the usual false positives caused by water conditions or equipment faults. Decades of expeditions documented similar contacts scattered across the loch, often too brief or inconsistent for conclusive study. Skeptics pointed to environmental factors, such as thermoclines or boat wakes, as the culprit for these blips. Believers argued the contacts hinted at something out of the ordinary lurking below. Neither position could definitively explain the repeating presence of these sonar signatures. The sonar readings themselves came from a wide range of equipment that included both basic post-war devices and present-day equipment, which became operational during 2023. The technology improvements did not succeed because the unexplained echoes continued to exist without any straightforward solutions. The signals experienced permanent existence because the environmental conditions, boat sensors, and scientific equipment underwent transformation. The equipment demonstration showed that both equipment failures and environmental interference would produce different results during separate testing periods. Persistent behavior leads to obvious inquiries about its origins. What factors enable large objects that sonar detects to vanish from view and then return over a period of multiple decades? Why has there been no solid visual evidence despite modern underwater cameras and drones? The presence of unidentified sonar contacts that provide no confirmed sightings requires further investigation.
And as we crossed the middle of the loch, we got a big sonar contact about 170 metres down.
The Loch Ness mystery represents the central enigma of this particular mystery. The records establish patterns that defy both random events and environmental factors that exist in nature. The contacts display a tendency to appear at particular depths, which they traverse along routes that match the underwater features of the loch. Scientists anticipate that contact events should produce random results because accidental events should create unpredictable patterns during different research missions that use various devices. The dataset provides evidence that proves the assumption to be false. The scientific community maintained its watchfulness because identification remained unproven. The databases received the sonar contacts, which scientists regarded as significant yet unresolved mysteries. These unexplained sonar anomalies are just the beginning. To grasp why they matter, we need to understand the nature of Loch Ness itself, why it's such a perfect place to guard its mysteries. Geography and conditions of Loch Ness. Loch Ness is far from an ordinary lake. It is a geological marvel shaped by glacial forces during the last ice age. Stretching 23 miles long, but only about 1 mile wide, it forms a narrow, deep trench carved along the Great Glen Fault in the Scottish Highlands. Its maximum depth reaches an astonishing 755 feet, ranking it among the deepest freshwater bodies in Europe. These extremes in size and shape create a unique environment unlike most lakes in the world. The loch's water is notoriously opaque, stained a dark amber brown by peat sediment washing down from the surrounding highlands. This clarity rarely exceeds 15 feet, even under ideal conditions, restricting visibility and making traditional underwater observation almost impossible. Beneath 30 feet, the loch experiences permanent darkness, closing off visual confirmation to divers and cameras alike. In many ways, this combination of depth and murky water shields the underwater environment from easy detection. Loch Ness holds more water than all the lakes in England and Wales combined, and the temperature remains eerily stable at around 42 degrees Fahrenheit year-round. This cold, consistent environment slows decay and preserves organic matter remarkably well, which has fascinated biologists and geologists alike. The loch never freezes, thanks to underground currents that circulate the water in complex patterns scientists have yet to fully decipher. These currents could also influence movement patterns seen in sonar contacts. The geology surrounding Loch Ness impacts how sound travels underwater, complicating sonar readings significantly. Steep rocky walls create multiple echoes, while temperature layers known as thermoclines bend or distort sonar waves unpredictably. Besides, underwater currents stir up sediments and debris that often register as false contacts on sonar screens. The result is a notoriously challenging acoustic environment, perfect for confusing even experienced technicians. The factors that exist in Loch Ness create perfect conditions that allow large objects to remain undetected. Natural camouflage results from challenging conditions, while the loch contains extensive deep basins which protect against surface interruptions. The geographical layout of these waters enables a large creature to use its surroundings as a means to keep hidden from observers who have studied the area for many years. The reasons behind investigation failures at Loch Ness become clear for observers to see. The water's opacity prevents people from seeing underwater, while the acoustic conditions create sonar signals that produce false information. The system becomes more difficult to understand because fluctuating currents interact with sediment patterns, which create movements that appear to be the motion of a solid object. The loch creates a complex network of natural barriers that protects its hidden information from those who try to study its hidden contents. Loch Ness showcases its special characteristics through both its physical features and its environmental complexities that affect data interpretation. Researchers must separate genuine signals from natural anomalies caused by the loch itself. The most advanced sonar technologies create uncertain outcomes because of their inherent difficulties. Significant findings exist in what people perceive to be errors or noise that exists in plain sight. The geographic features and environmental conditions of Loch Ness create essential knowledge that supports serious examinations of sonar contacts and sightings without explanation. The loch creates an environment that both establishes a background and produces a living space that determines how all underwater entities behave. The detected sonar patterns become more fascinating because they present complex challenges to analysis. The loch's feel cannot be separated from the stories and legends it has inspired for centuries, telling of strange creatures and unexplained phenomena that have been imprinted on local culture and history. Historical sightings and cultural context. The mystery of Loch Ness stretches back more than 14 centuries, long before modern technology entered the scene. One of the earliest recorded accounts comes from St. Columba in 565 AD. According to historical writings, locals had recovered a man attacked by a strange creature in the River Ness. When another man attempted to swim across, the creature charged until Columba intervened and ordered it to retreat. Whether legend or fact, this story firmly rooted the idea of something lurking beneath the water. Over time, these early accounts evolved into local folklore, particularly the legend of the Kelpie, a supernatural water horse said to inhabit Scottish waters. These stories weren't just myths for entertainment. They served as warnings, passed down through generations to keep people, especially children, away from dangerous shorelines. Long before global attention, the mystery was already embedded in the culture. The modern Loch Ness phenomenon began in 1933, when John Mackay and Aldi Mackay reported seeing a massive creature moving through the water. Their account, published in the Inverness Courier, triggered widespread fascination. Soon, more sightings followed, capturing the attention of the public, scientists, and explorers alike. In 1934, the legend grew even stronger with the release of the surgeon's photograph. The image appeared to show a long neck rising from the loch and quickly became world famous. Although it was later exposed as a hoax, it had already cemented Loch Ness as one of the most enduring mysteries in the world. As reports increased, so did the theories. Some suggested a surviving plesiosaur from the age of dinosaurs, while others pointed to giant eels or sturgeons. Skeptics argued for misidentifications, hoaxes, or psychological factors influenced by media coverage. This divide between belief and doubt became central to the story. By the 1950s, science began to take a more active role. Expeditions used sonar, underwater cameras, and later environmental DNA analysis to search for answers. Despite decades of effort, no definitive proof has ever been found. Yet, unexplained sonar contacts and continued sightings keep the mystery alive. Today, Loch Ness stands as more than just a location. It represents the meeting point of legend and investigation, where history, culture, and science intersect. The enduring mystery reflects a deeper human curiosity, an urge to explore the unknown and question what may still lie hidden beneath the surface. The mystery locked in the sonar data and legends only deepens when considering the thoroughness of past investigations and how none have fully resolved what continues to appear in the waters below. Scientific expeditions and surveys. The scientific search for answers in Loch Ness began in earnest during the 1950s, launching decades of investigation into what might lie beneath its dark waters. One of the earliest and most intriguing moments came in 1954, when the fishing boat Doris recorded a sonar contact nearly 500 feet deep. The object appeared large and mobile, far beyond what could be explained by fish or drifting debris. Then, just as quickly, it vanished. That single event set the stage for years of mystery. Throughout the 1960s, researchers from academic institutions, private groups, and even amateur enthusiasts conducted repeated sonar scans of the loch. As technology improved, so did expectations. Yet the results remained frustratingly similar. Brief sonar hits on large, unidentified objects that could never be visually confirmed. The loch's murky water made direct observation nearly impossible, while its complex acoustic conditions often produced misleading readings. Scientists found themselves caught between promising data and inconclusive proof. A major turning point came in 1987 with Operation Deep Scan.
The most ambitious search ever made of Loch Ness was Operation Deep Scan in 1987.
This ambitious effort involved 24 boats forming a line across the entire width of the loch, scanning simultaneously with synchronized sonar equipment. The goal was simple: leave nowhere for anything large to hide. If something truly existed beneath the surface, this operation would find it. And, in a way, it did. During the scan, 3 separate boats detected unexplained sonar contacts, objects estimated to be over 20 feet long, moving at depths between 300 and 600 feet. What made these detections compelling was that they were recorded independently across multiple systems, reducing the chance of equipment failure or coincidence. Still, despite the significance of the findings, researchers remained cautious. Expedition leader Adrian Shine acknowledged the presence of large moving objects, but stopped short of declaring them unknown creatures. Once again, the results were filed under Unexplained. The BBC financed a complete loch survey, which established a new measurement standard in 2003. The team used satellite navigation together with hundreds of sonar beams to produce their most detailed acoustic map, which they created through their mapping efforts. The mission aimed to identify every significant object in the water and finally settle the mystery. The team recorded several contacts, which showed objects that moved through space before they disappeared without any explanation of their vanishing. The BBC report showed natural causes through its emphasis on sediment movement and temperature layers as explanations for the observed anomalies, which did not match environmental patterns. The researchers found interesting data points, but they did not provide any solutions to the problem. Researchers used environmental DNA analysis in 2019 to search the loch for genetic evidence of all existing living organisms. The results confirmed that large prehistoric reptiles did not exist, while they discovered that eel DNA existed in high quantities. The theory developed because people thought they saw extremely large eels. The theory fails to provide a complete explanation. The sonar signatures that scientists recorded during several decades of research show no connection to how eels produce sound wave reflections. The new technique makes the case clearer, according to the research that has been conducted thus far about this particular case. The Loch Ness area has remained mysterious because researchers have spent decades attempting to uncover its secrets, which modern technology still cannot explain. These investigations provide context for why the recent AI analysis, uncovering a consistent pattern across all this data, is so remarkable. AI analysis of 66 years of data. In early 2026, researchers turned to artificial intelligence to analyze one of the most puzzling datasets in modern mystery: over 66 years of sonar recordings from Loch Ness. This included major efforts like Operation Deep Scan in 1987, the BBC survey in 2003, and the 2023 Quest expedition. Instead of relying on human interpretation alone, the team used advanced pattern recognition algorithms to scan decades of data across different technologies, conditions, and research groups. Initially, expectations were low. Most scientists assumed the AI would confirm the standard explanation that these sonar anomalies were nothing more than random noise, false positives, or environmental effects like boat wakes, thermoclines, or sediment movement. With better tools, the belief was that the mystery would finally be put to rest. But that's not what happened. The AI uncovered a statistically significant pattern, one that repeated across all 17 sonar systems used since the 1950s. These unexplained contacts weren't random. They appeared in every season, at multiple depths, and across completely different datasets. That level of consistency should not exist if the signals were just errors or natural interference. Three key patterns stood out: depth, timing, and movement. First, the contacts consistently appeared between 300 and 500 feet deep, far below the range where most environmental noise occurs. Second, there was a timing pattern. Activity increased during early mornings in late summer and dropped during midday periods, hinting at a possible response to light or temperature changes. But the most striking discovery was movement. The AI detected what looked like defined routes, paths that traced along the deepest parts of the loch, including areas connected to the Great Glen Fault. Some routes linked the northern and southern basins, while others appeared to circle specific zones, almost like territorial behavior. Even more compelling, these same paths showed up in data spanning from the 1960s to 2023. To test the results, researchers ran the same AI on sonar data from other lakes. Nothing similar appeared. The patterns were unique to Loch Ness. This effectively rules out randomness. False positives don't behave consistently across decades, technologies, and environments. Something structured and possibly deliberate is being recorded. While the AI doesn't identify exactly what it is, it challenges long-standing explanations. Common theories like eels, sturgeons, or water disturbances can't account for the repeated routes and timing. One thing is certain. After nearly 7 decades, Loch Ness isn't just producing noise, it's revealing a pattern. And whatever is behind it remains one of the most compelling, unanswered questions in modern science. The enigma persists, but technology and time are finally giving us the tools to listen in ways never before possible. The loch's depths still whisper, and now we have a new lens to try to understand what those whispers truly mean. The unsolved puzzle and implications. Despite decades of research, and now the added power of artificial intelligence, what moves beneath Loch Ness remains unresolved.
A mystery in the icy depths of Loch Ness.
The latest AI analysis has identified consistent sonar patterns, suggesting something large, structured, and repeating. Yet none of the usual explanations fully align with the data. The giant eel theory gained traction after significant eel DNA was found in the loch. But eels don't reflect sonar in the same way as these solid, distinct contacts. Sturgeons are another suggestion, though they've been absent from Scottish waters for over a century, with no supporting DNA evidence. Environmental explanations like boat wakes or thermoclines also fail, especially since some sonar readings occur hundreds of feet below the surface. Skeptics have pointed to human error or mass misinterpretation, but that argument weakens when applied to machine-recorded data. These sonar patterns appear across different technologies, seasons, and research teams, making coincidence or simple error far less likely. The concept of a living plesiosaur, which has existed for many years, continues to attract interest, but it presents difficulties. The creatures needed to breathe air, so they had to come out of the water at regular intervals. But researchers only saw them in extremely infrequent instances. The restricted food availability in the loch creates major doubts about its ability to sustain life for an extended period. The AI results become persuasive because they show continuous matching between different tests. The observed patterns at the site demonstrate clear results, which scientists have confirmed to exist outside of other studied lakes. The evidence indicates the presence of a special phenomenon that exists exclusively within Loch Ness, and scientists have not yet discovered its nature. The scientific community maintains its cautious stance, while public interest continues to increase. The researchers stress the importance of peer review, yet they believe the data needs a thorough assessment. The thing that exists beneath the surface might not be a legendary creature, but it could be something just as vital, which displays our comprehension limits. After 66 years and countless investigations, the sonar data from Loch Ness reveals a real and persistent pattern that defies simple explanation. Whether it's an unknown creature or a natural phenomenon, the mystery endures, urging us to keep exploring. If you enjoyed diving into this enigma, please like and subscribe for more fascinating stories from the frontiers of science and mystery. And don't miss the next video on your screen, where another hidden mystery is about to unfold.